Now playing the Hook and Bridge podcast.
I fucking love Kesha. I'm telling you, I'm the worst person to have a podcast. I can barely speak.
Oh my god, I love Green Day!
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I am Harley, your host, joined by my co-host, little sister Taylor.
Hello, hello.
And today we have a super special guest. This band, incredible, man. Right off the top, I just want to tell everyone that I listened to everything you guys put out so far, and you have this Dinosaur Jr. sound, and I was a huge fan of Dinosaur Jr. back in the day. You have like old school Dinosaur Jr. sound, and without further ado, everybody, let's introduce Slow Joy Esteban joining the show.
Hey, woo, what an intro that was. I felt like I was walking out to a WWE match or something. Got me juiced. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. The Dinosaur Jr. reference is awesome. That means a lot. I feel like rock music just kind of regurgitate, like just recycles every so many years. So
right.
Every time someone compares me to a band, it's usually a band that's really, really, really good. So I'm like, okay, I'll take that.
Well, it's like the music side that you guys have. It's like that really like almost spacey alternative style, right? It's really, really cool. Your vocals are kind of like laid in the background a little bit, and the it's like this lo-fi sound almost. It's a really, really cool sound that we haven't had in years in this industry. So
thank you. No, that's super nice. I feel like I'm not doing anything new, so it means a lot to me that it sounds fresh.
You're definitely a super humble guy, and a lot of that humbleness shows through in the things that you've been a part of so far. I personally really like the song Crawling. I thought Crawling was like a really staple song for you. But I'd love to hear a little bit more about your upcoming project. I know you just got off tour, and I would assume you're probably getting ready to go into the studio, right?
I actually am done with the studio. I recorded an album last year. Yeah. It's always a crazy process because like with like bands, you get to be like with your friends for like a month and like hang out, and like when you're done with guitar, you're done kind of thing.
Right.
It's all me in there, so I'm just stuck for a month. Like, oh, bass is done. All right, time to pick up my guitar hat. Oh, guitar's done. Time to do my vocal hat. So it's like a month of me pretty much calling my wife every night, being like, I'm gonna go crazy. I think I haven't left this control room in so long. So I just finished an album. It is like my first album ever. That's so many songs. To make an album is crazy. I've always looked up to people who've done it, and I've always shied away from it because I'm like, how on earth do you do that? So like having done it, it's been a real dream come true. And I think these songs are like something to behold. They'll start releasing. I think the last I heard was like February. So we'll start to get new music out and finally have an album, which is something a lot of people have been yelling at me about. So I'm excited to finally do it.
I do have, just to pull the curtain a little bit, I do have one track, I believe, that is still unreleased. I don't want to go into too much detail, but
I love it. Which one is it?
Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
You can let him know it's his.
I don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say.
You can say whatever.
Let's see here. I'll go ahead and pull it up.
Oh no, he disappeared.
Your PR department, by the way, is absolutely incredible. They are
Sue Hannah. They're so sweet. I met them in person at my New York show, and it was just instant connection. We talked for hours. It was amazing.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, they've been so polite with me over the past couple of years. Let's see here.
I'm so excited.
Well, like I said, they didn't tell me what I could and could not say.
You know what, though? If they didn't, that means you could say whatever you want.
That is true.
No one says you can't. You can say it all.
Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
So I actually don't know for sure if this song is out already. Actually, is For You out already?
No, yeah, that was on the last EP.
It was on the last. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Aw.
So it's not
So
unreleased.
they haven't sent you any of the
Aw.
new stuff.
Ah.
I was so excited to hear your thoughts. Maybe
Well,
I'll send
that
it after the
means-
show.
That
Yeah,
would
I
be
was gonna say
awesome.
if you
That
could
would
just
be
send
awesome.
it and we'll listen to it.
I thought For You was incredible, and
Thank you.
There's another song that is on that EP as well, called King Cowboy, that we're gonna talk about later. That
Mhm.
you have a section of that song that hit me so hard, and I'm really excited to talk about the lyrics on that side.
Ye
But
fucking ha. I can't
I
wait.
couldn't find For You on Spotify, so maybe I might have just missed it.
It's a deep cut on that EP. I love it personally. I think
Yeah.
if it was up to me and I got to pick what songs were the big songs for my career, that one would have been Pulling Teeth and that one.
Yeah.
Those two songs are like my favorite songs like that I've done so far, and like playing them live. I actually kicked King Cowboy out of the set so I could play For You on this last tour because we only had 25 minutes. So like when you have 25 minutes, you just gotta like play. And that song is it's so special
it's
to
so
me.
good.
Yeah, I love the like the tonality and everything in it. And like that was the first time I felt like because I made this record with a producer named Mike Sapone, who's like just someone I looked up to my entire life. And I got his like seal of approval on some of the guitar work, and I was like, oh, okay, this is the first time I felt like I was like an actual artist in my life, and it was a special moment. It was a waning thought though; it went away pretty quickly. I was like, I'm just
Again, you're such a humble guy, man, and let's talk a little bit about that humbleness. I read where you kind of stated that the universe let you have a music career. So, deep thought. Is that something that you feel the universe is like a higher power of sorts, or are you a religious man?
I grew up religious. That's actually how I ended up in music. My grandpa was like a pastor of this like really small church, and it was like a family ordeal. So like the reason why I learned instruments is because if the drummer didn't show up that day, you have to play drums. If the guitar player didn't show up that day, you have to play guitar. So it's like part of my upbringing. I actually went to I went to Bible school to like be a pastor at one point. So I have all the accolades to do it. And then I always just say the shit didn't take. It didn't work out for me, which is cool. I respect. I went through this whole cycle where like it's I call it the anger cycle. So when you first get out of it, you're just pissed off about like all the things and like blaming like religion for everything that's wrong with the world or anything like that. And like there's some validity to that, but I also think there's a lot of validity to like understanding that which we don't understand. Which is just that which we don't understand is this thing that like we can be in awe. If we lose the awe for beauty, then like we're gonna lose ourselves. So I've kind of come back around to like I think in the religious topic, like I think like if you can define a god, then it's too small. And like I think like that's why I use terms like the universe or like these big. It's just this overarching idea of like that which we don't understand.
Right.
And it's beauty and it's good. And like, I think those are the things that I want to like rest my hat on. I think like the other things I just I've lost interest in, and it didn't take. So I'm I'm thankful it didn't though. I feel like more well-rounded than I would have been. Sorry, this is going on a really deep.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even when I was like in the religion circuit, even when I was like trying to be like in like pastor or whatever, and back then, like I felt like it was all just kind of me centric. And like for the first time with like Slow Joy, with just expressing like human issues, we've all suffered loss, we've all suffered, like expressing those things. I have people coming up to me after shows who are like, thank you so much, like I lost someone and the song meant a lot to me to help me through. And I feel like that's done more like ministry, I guess, than if I would have done that in the first place. And I think I'm thankful for being able to like, I feel like do more and be more of a force for good.
Right.
By like sharing human stories than I would have if it was anything else.
Well, and artists, especially like bigger named artists that have like these tracks that just grow immensely. in several interviews that I've witnessed or been a part of or watched, they'll say something along those same lines of like, it was never mine. The universe came to me. The universe gave me
Totally.
these lyrics, this song.
Mhm.
So is that how you kind of feel about your music? Is it's not yours?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the less, like, the more you get into that flow state, the more you don't think about what you're doing, the more like beautiful it is. And I think that has to come from some other source. I think I didn't fully understand it until I read Rick Rubin's book,
Mhm.
fantastic book, The Creative Act. And he basically described what I'd been feeling my entire life, which is just the source, this thing that exists. And it gives us, it moves through us, and you just got to be open to the source. And like, I really do think that is a thing that does exist, because like you're just not thinking, it's just flow state, you're just like letting it happen. And I try to be in that moment as much as possible.
Now, when you get in that moment, does it require a very immense amount of focus and isolation?
I think it's effortless. I mean, it's just like anything else when you're, in the gym and you're just running. The runner's high is like another version
Yeah.
of the flow state, or when you're doing it exists in every other thing. And I think with writing, it's very similar. I would say personally, it's harder for me to get there for writing than it is anything else, because I want it so bad. So I keep it like with like a tight fist, and like
Mhm.
usually it's mostly me like learning how to open up that like hand, that palm the whole time. And that's a really hard thing for me to do. So I think
Right.
it takes a lot of focus to get there, but once you're there, hours turn into seconds, and you get back. And you're like,
Right.
wow, that was like a really special moment that I had. Also comes in spurts, it's an interesting force that like we all get to experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So talking about writing, would you say that writing, specifically lyrical writing, right? Not melodies, not the music, not the composition, but the lyrics has been therapeutic? I would assume it's got to be a very therapeutic process for you. And is there something that is like a driving force in your writing, something that maybe you've dealt with in life that is like this driving force to push you a little further than normally?
Yeah, I mean, I have a few. First off, yes, it can be very therapeutic. I think a lot of my writing comes from just kind of diving deep into specific moments. I don't like, how do I say this? I don't like just putting words to put words. Like I have to either experience them or put myself in them. And that is usually coming from right now in my stage as an artist. It's coming from like past life experiences. I a lot of my like earlier writing, a lot of stuff that I still kind of deal with is with loss. My family has suffered quite a bit of loss in the last few years, which is I lost my grandpa, and then after that I lost my mom, and it's just been kind of like a tougher, emotional experience. So that was kind of the starting point for Slow Joy.
Mm-hmm.
Was losing my mom, and like feeling like, okay, well, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then in therapy, she recommending using music as a way to process that grief was what like showed me, oh, okay, you should be using these things, you should be telling these stories. And when you share those stories, you'll see how many people actually like connect to those stories. And that really pushes me to really work really hard on
Yeah.
the writing, because it just matters. And the other thing is just I'm a little bit behind, I would say, in my career, as far as like I'm not a 21-year-old kid who's like excited to jump in a van and live in a van for the next 10 years of their life and like all
Yep.
that stuff. So I do recognize like the difference between someone who can like feed their families and live comfortably with their family, and all of this stuff, all of this life experience I've gained from being 30. Like I realize that the difference between that and and van touring and all that stuff is just how good your song is. So I'm
Right.
very, very focused on like, is this, you only have so many shots at this. So like, is this something you want to look back at and be like, oh, he's only 20 and I like wrote this like terrible lyric, or you look back and go, yeah, all of that holds up. All this makes sense. And once you have the ear of people, I mean, are you utilizing it properly, or are you just squandering it? You know, I really look up to artists who just really, really focus on like, what am I trying to say? How am I trying to say it? Is this the best that it can be? Is this, as big as it can possibly be, like song wise? And I think that's something I really, really focus on above all else. I'm like weird with like, I don't really care about guitar tones. I don't want to like A and B 17 pedals, but I will like sit there and agonize over a line to make sure that I just say exactly what I wanted to say, because that's what actually matters when it all comes down to it.
Oh,
and that's
100%.
and that's the difference between, touring in a van and moving somewhere else, forward with that. And like that, I don't know. I know it sounds weird, but it's just like as I'm a little bit older than the usual starting up artist, that like artists who haven't had an album yet, I recognize that. I'm not gonna like waste that,
No, lyrics are like my thing, man. Like I write as well. I grew up playing guitar and had a small music career. In this kind of similar vein, I moved away from my family and started a life with my wife, and just kind of put that aside, right? And said, okay, well, I want to focus on what matters to me, and right now that's my family. And maybe someday down the road I'll come back to that music career, but yeah, lyrically, like I've never written something that I didn't stand behind the emotion and the feeling. Yeah, I totally get it. And actually, so speaking of which, so how do you go through the process of bringing simplicity and depth together? Because your lyrics have like this really, really concise, like surface image. But and we're going to dive into a couple of them here in a minute, but when you really dive into a handful of them, it like surface is here. And then you have this extra layer that like, if you're not reading the words, you wouldn't grab it. You're not grabbing it upon the listen. So how do you walk that line of simplicity and depth?
I feel like it should be as simple to understand as possible. But also, like, I don't know, I always try to whittle things down to like if you could say it in 5 words, say it in 5 words. If you can say it with like less syllables, say it with less syllables, but never lose the depth of what you're trying to say. Because the reason why you're trying to say something matters the most. I think I really got that in the last few years from, I mean, obviously listening to incredible writers like Isaac Brock from Modest Mouse, and like just incredible, like what you can say in a line is huge. But I really like, my wife is like a huge literary, like reads all the time. She's so much smarter than I am. And so she showed me the concept of, I was listening to this Idols song, and it was like a 6-word story, and it was like baby shoes for sale, never worn. There's this beautiful line. I was like, oh my gosh, you're telling so much of a story in that one sentence, like baby shoes for sale, never worn. And that's a crazy like concept. And I started to realize like, you don't have to use flowery words to get a good point across. What you have to use is have a good point to get across, then whittle it down from there. We call it word soup over here now. It's just like too many crazy words, and you're just like, okay, what are you saying? You're saying all these huge, crazy sounding things, but you're not actually saying anything at all.
And it's so interesting too, because being in like, and I'm sure you're involved in this too, in like writers groups and stuff, like they're all about the grammar and like the literary terms and following these structures of like, oh, that word's been used a million times. Let's find a new way to say that particular word, and these larger vocabularies, right? And flowery words. That's all it is. Like you don't need the fluff if the message is good. So that's a great way to look at it.
I have the luxury of being able to get away with it because I need certain amount of syllables too. So when it comes to like actual like writing like, stories and stuff, it is different. But I also recognize the fact that like that's kind of like focusing too much on your tone, or like your what your gear is. and not
Yeah.
focusing enough on like what you're trying to say. It's like if the story's good, you can get away with a couple of like grammatical errors. If the story sucks, I'm like, what are we doing here? You know, you're not going to fix it.
And I
Otherwise.
think that brings into your sound as well, like comparing you, like I said, to Dinosaur Jr., like it adds this airiness to the music and kind of lets things speak for themselves. You can have this breath of silence and still fill the gap with emotion, which is unique in your genre, right? It's not something that a lot of artists are able to do. It's typically these really short, sweet, punch everything into 2 minutes, and you're able to say a little bit and give the room time to adjust to what was just said, which is a nice breath of fresh air in your industry. So
thank you. No, that means a lot to me. I think that it really does come from not paying attention to the left or to the right of me. I'm really paying attention to the like what the greats. I don't like
right.
Smells Like Teen Spirit's a fantastic example of like just a song that like he's just saying it, you know. It's like, why am I'm gonna focus on that instead of anything else. So I don't need to know what another, you know, modern emo or alt rock band is doing. I need to know what the greats did back then.
Absolutely. So I have noticed while sitting here that you have a small record collection behind you.
Yes.
Walk us through some of those records on the wall there. I'm a record collector myself, so
totally. I don't have a ton of records. I have because we don't have a lot of space. So these are just some of the ones I really love. So starting from here, it's so funny how much it ranges to. But so starting from here, that's Arcade Fire's Reflector. Incredible album. I love Arcade Fire so much. I think their latest album was, you know, I'll forgive it, but the rest of it has been so good. And I think Reflector is like one of those albums that like you can start from top to bottom and just really like focus on.
Timeless, man.
And incredible like lyric writing. Like some of the between that and it's hard to differentiate which one I like the most, but they're one of those bands that like between that and Neon Bible, it's like really tough to be like, okay, which one do I like more? And I think I personally, I like the way that record looks better, so that's why it's on the wall. But those two albums are incredible.
It's super iconic cover too. Like, that's the only one on the wall that I knew from a distance. So
well, and then two of them, it's not super fair because two of these are like the same album, like this one, and then I'm trying my best to like make sure that these two right there are Kings of Leon's like newest album, or not the newest now. Actually, it just Can We Please Have Fun is the newest. It's the one before that, When You See Yourself. Not When You See Yourself. Oh my gosh, I'm the fandom is gonna kill me now. Anyway, fantastic album. I bought it as soon as it came out, and it's like I love that band so much. But I love these photos that they have inside the album. So I took it out and I put them on there. So that's the two Follow Wills. I love those guys so much. And then up here we have Idol's Crawler, which is an incredible album. I love Idols. I've recently just become a massive Idols fan. And so that was like the first album that I really got into. Then I went back and listened to their stuff, but that one was the one that got me in. They've since released an incredible album called Tank, and it's like perfect top to bottom. I love they're really good at juxtaposition. So it's so good at like, I'm gonna yell over some pretty guitars, or I'm gonna like sing over some others. They're just so good at like, everybody knows them as Chaos, and they are chaotic. They are like an experimental band, but they're also really good at creating these really beautiful moments. The first song on that album, MTT 420, is probably I listened to it in my car at like we have a grocery store, and I just turned it up and I couldn't get out of the car. I just sat there and I listened to it for so long. It was a blissful experience.
I'm gonna have to check them out. I gotta write that down. You said it's called Idols?
Yeah, Idols is an incredible band.
I definitely thought before when you said Idol, you were talking about Billy Idol.
No, not Billy Idol.
I was like, interesting.
I'm actually looking up that Kings of Leon album now too, because it's gonna kill me if I don't get this right.
It
is When You See Yourself. Oh my gosh. Okay.
It's the one that I'm thinking of. That's the one that was kind of like divisive, right? Amongst like fans, like
no, sorry. Walls. Are you talking about the Kings of Leon?
Yeah, Kings of Leon. Like that's the one that like some like older fans were like, I hate this album. And then newer fans were like, this is the best album they've put out.
I heard more of that during Walls.
Maybe
The
that's the
album
one that I'm
before
thinking
it.
of.
This one was like, oh my god, they're finally back.
Okay,
Because
okay.
Walls was pretty good. It had some really good singles, but this song was so good. I can't believe I should have just confidently said. I know I love that band so much. I should have just confidently said it. But
I loved their older work. I didn't follow them after the one with like Sex on Fire.
oh, so good. What a great album. Only by the Night. The album right after that. So there's two more really good ones. There was Mechanical Bull, which was like you should definitely listen to that album. That's super good. And then the album right after Only by the Night. Look, I'm gonna look it up because I'm not confident about anything. Come Around Sundown. I knew that. I just had to make sure. Come Around Sundown. Again, a really good album, a little bit more country. And then they kind of like hit that lull on Walls, which it was a good album. I like all their albums, but I think they just like had this really special thing going on early on.
Right.
And then like When You See Yourself was like, okay, we're returning the form. And I think Can We Please Have Fun has like more of that. But yeah, I think they're at that stage now with like what producer's going to tell them to change anything. Like they're just it's gonna be like the way it's gonna be, and that's that. So I respect it, but I love those old like hungry albums, you know.
Right.
And then so I have actually two. You would think that I'm the biggest Citizen fan on the planet. I have two Citizen albums up. I think Youth is the album I actually really love from Citizen, and then so I love this one a lot, and I'm actually like a decently okay. Like Citizen is like one of the bands that got me into this genre again, but I'm not like a diehard as you would think from having two of their albums up. But they're really good, and I really love the way those two albums look. I think Youth is like one of the more iconic album covers of all time. And then Foals, which is like just an incredible band. They were something that got me through the 2010s, but that they were like tough, but they were still doing that like dancey, jingly, jangly thing.
Oh, okay.
But I really like that album. Both Mountain at My Gates is like one of the craziest songs of all time. So they're definitely worth listening to.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, I'm definitely gonna look up Idols because I'm very interested in that.
I'll tell everyone the Idols and Fontaines and Kneecap. Like, listen, the across the pond, they're making some. I don't know what's in the water over there, but they're making some great music right now. So, Idols, Fontaines, DC, and Kneecap are like three of the best bands to listen to, or acts to listen to right now.
So you just came off of tour, first US tour.
Yes.
How was it? What was the experience like?
Long. It was 6 weeks, so it's like long even from like tour perspective. Like it's a very long tour. It was crazy. It was interesting. So I was opening for a pop punk band. So it was really, really interesting to like see how they reacted to like my more melancholic, slow stuff. Some of the cities were really for it. Some of the cities were just like, get this guy out of here. So it was fun to like feel it within the first two songs, what the night was going to be like. But the vibes on the tour were amazing. Everybody was super nice. And it was one of those things where I really personally, I really enjoy doing really hard things because the rush you get at the end of it, and like, leaving your home for 6 weeks is like a very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
So I feel like once I got done, I was like, wow, I did that. I completed it. And I'm looking forward to doing more of those. I think the experience as a whole was amazing. And being some like little kid from Carlsbad, New Mexico, and getting to see the entire nation was insane.
Right. That's awesome, man.
It was crazy to see the different temperatures. So you'd be like,
oh yeah,
yeah, especially this season.
So, yeah.
Welcome to the US of A.
It's crazy. Yeah, we were like freezing in Cleveland, and then we got home like, so it was Cleveland to Dallas to get home. So it was like freezing in Cleveland and not wearing a jacket at all. It's just such a like jarring experience.
In Cleveland, you can have sunny 70-degree weather, and by the end of the day, it will be snowing.
It's that lake effect. Lake Erie is out here. That's crazy. I didn't even understand that thing. And it has waves. Like, I don't understand Great Lakes at all. That's crazy.
I have no idea. I just know some days I wake up and it's unbelievably cold, and other days I can wear shorts.
It's so crazy. Yeah, we were mind blown. And also how like not tripping everybody was once it started snowing. We were just like, oh, this is scary. And everyone's like, yeah, it's fine. We'll just drive.
It just is what it is.
That would shut down Texas for 4 days. So.
Yep.
So speaking of For You, I tried my best. You said just put a pin in it. Best line in the song, if you ask me.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I'm curious on the inspiration for the song itself, but also let's just break this line down a little bit. I tried my best. You said put a pin in it. So when I read that, I was like, okay, so the idea is like I'm giving you all that I have. I'm giving you the best of me, and you're still putting me on the back burner.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting thing. I think a lot of relationships go through that. I co-wrote the song with a friend of mine, and we were just really diving into like that feeling that we've had in both in the past and like our families have felt. I usually draw from like my dad was like just such a romantic when it came to my mom. And she wasn't like the easiest person to love, and she wasn't like the easiest person to stick around. And you could see him like just trying his best to do something, and it's like, thank you, but you know, what next? You know, and that's one of those things where like I don't know, I like the idea, of like experience of like watching this, like I'm giving you everything and you're like, okay, but let's not deal with that right now. Let's just wait for a second. Like I don't want to deal with strong emotions right now. I want to wait. And I feel like that was just an interesting concept to like go into. I would honestly argue that Did You Even Notice When I Broke My Back For You is like equally as strong of a lyric, because it's the same concept. It's like, have you not seen like what's going on here?
Right.
But you know,
Right.
and obviously it's never hard. I would do that for you, which is, it's just this like concept of like very, very toxic. Like you shouldn't be in a relationship like that.
Yeah.
And we've all seen that. But I love the idea of putting myself in that perspective, because I've been there, everybody's been there, and it was just like, it was an interesting concept to like go down.
I think the broke my back for you line hit just a little too close to home for me.
Mhm.
Totally.
You're a married man, I'm a married man. So I was like, I like
Yeah.
this other one better.
It's funny that I think that's one of the reasons why the song didn't take off, is because I'm like way too in a healthy, happy relationship nowadays.
Yeah.
So no one buys it, you know what I mean? I'm like, did you even notice? I'm like, isn't this the guy who wrote the song about like telling his wife to give him like to not give up on him? I'm like, yeah, okay, all right.
I was a different man.
Yeah, past experiences. But yeah,
Yeah.
it really is just like diving into like my dad like loved my mom until the bitter end. I'm like, would have
Yeah.
always been there for her. And like it was beautiful for me to like go down that list and just like write from the perspective of someone who's like, no matter what happens, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna like deal with this, and we're gonna, you know, give you everything. Even if you don't notice, I'm still gonna do it.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, I love that song. This other line though, this is, I would say, in my opinion, your best work.
Thank you.
And almost like in the same vein too. Let's move out west, get in fights, raise some kids that hate their lives, say I love you every night, drift apart until we die.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That is deep, man.
Well, it was interesting. So that whole song is like it's all me, like, you know, being a jerk about like the cowboy and like American dream thing. And I love the idea of you saying, like, in the beginning, it was like everything could be all right if you married me under neon lights, and then call me, I'm the king cowboy, which is like this idea of like, I don't know, people love that brash cowboy concept, right? So
Yeah.
I love the idea of him being like, also, let's do this thing that is objectively horrible. It's a terrible life. It's like American modernity, like American to like a T. It's the dream, and we've all seen it. You know, we've all seen the couples, the older couples who are just like hate each other, but they stay together for the kids. And I love like hearing all that, hearing all that while also being so confident about it that you're like, I'm the king of all cowboys, and like, yeehaw, you know. And it's so funny to me. I love like the satire of that. And
Yeah.
I also love that people are like, a lot of times don't get it. They're like, why are you singing a song about a cowboy? You're trying to do the Beyonce thing. I was like, no, you don't understand. This is I'm making fun of it.
Yeah. And it's so much more than that too. Cause like when I read that, I was like, to me, like that King Cowboy reference, you can take that reference in any aspect of a career path, right? You're the king salesman, you're the
Mhm.
king bus driver. Like, you think you're the best at your thing.
Yeah,
And you end up living this life of American mediocrity of like, I'm going to
100%.
do the life that everyone has done generation after generation.
Exactly.
It's such a great phrase, man. It's so like, yeah, well crafted words right there.
I love it. That's a special moment live for me too. But I when I first wrote it, I was like really hoping that like the mass population would get it. And a lot of people did, but yeah, a lot of times online people are like, "This is so stupid." I'm like, "You don't get it. Like, you don't see
don't
what's happening here."
understand.
Well, and
Yeah,
especially that part, drift apart until we die. Like,
yeah,
that's literally how many 50-60% of marriages, right?
Mhm.
Is like, we just slowly
Mhm.
fell apart
it
over the
erodes.
years. Yeah.
And then you just look back at your life and you're like, why did I do that? You know what I mean? It's
Right.
crazy how much people are just like will stay into things because of obligation.
Mhm.
And I thought like being like brash and excited about that is just an interesting concept because
Yeah.
again, it's just mediocrity at its finest. And not to say it's a terrible life, like I'm sure there's like a lot of beauty in it, but I think like championing it as if it's the best way to live is hilarious.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved that line, man. And the cool thing too is like the song itself is so chipper and so short. Like, it's a really quick one. I don't know the exact time, but I think it's like right around 3 minutes, right? It's like barely 3 minutes. So it's a quick song to get a really heavy message across.
It used to be shorter. I actually hate bridges. I would never write bridges. And my
Love the bridge.
the producer who I was working with, Mike Sapone, he made me write bridges for all of the songs, and it was just angrily just writing stuff. But yeah, it used to be like sub 3 minutes. I think 2:45 or 2 minutes, which is like in my opinion the best. Like verse chorus, and then we have like some jam. Like I'm down. That's how we go.
Do you look back now at writing those bridges and like how music has progressed now and say, I fucking told you so? Like,
I've
you
been
don't
telling him that
need-
forever. We had arguments in the studio, just flat out like song for song. His thing was like one of the things we used to have like this last time because we worked on this album together too. Was like he would say, name a great American, like great. We would just use like great American huge rock songs that don't have
Right.
bridges. So he would always get me for that, and then I'd be like, well, but he was like, yeah, those songs are big, but like think about like the great songs, and that was like a helpful way to look at it. And I think like bridges have a lot of I think they have a lot of validity in if they're done right. I just don't like I don't like doing stuff because you have to. I like there has to be a purpose, and I think now there are some songs that like have more of a purpose, and the middle eight makes sense now. I get it.
Well, and those great songs, those legendary songs, those bridges weren't written out of necessity. They were written out of they needed to be there. Like, it came naturally.
That was my thing. Is it depends song from song on if it actually needs a bridge or not, or if it's going to add something to it. Because I also don't like a bridge that's just made there to be there.
Yeah, no.
Like I want it to really add depth to the song.
I think like anything done for product versus done for art is just not worth it. I also am open to being wrong though. So that was where me and Mike just going back for back. I was like, okay, fine. And then when I listened to it, I like begrudgingly was like, yeah, you're right. Okay.
Like,
it was also like just an old school mentality of like, this is song structure from back in the day.
Yeah.
And you have this new age group of kids coming up that are like, well, we don't really care about those.
The tickety tockety.
Yeah. And it makes its way back eventually. Like first chorus makes sense. I wasn't for it. Now I get it. Now I'm like, okay, when it's supposed to be there, it's supposed to be there. I think like song structure is just so fascinating. And like, we're the only art form that repeats things, which is interesting. But I like it because I like the earworms. I'm a pop writer at heart.
Right?
But it is one of those things. That writing that song was funny because I was just in the studio. I think I only had like an hour to go write like most of the bridges in that EP. It was fun. It was a fun argument.
Well, and I don't know. So do you only play guitar, or no? You play all of those instruments on your album?
Yeah. I've done everything besides drums. I did drums one time on a single called "I Don't Hate You," and I instantly was like, never again. It was fun, but it's too many things. Like once you get, and I actually just hired an engineer for that one. I didn't have a producer, so I was like producing and drumming, and didn't like. It was just too much of me. I was like, okay, let's get another thought in. And now when you're working on albums, like you're in there for a month, and I'm like, do I want to be in the control room nonstop for a month? Like that doesn't
right.
And there are drummers in my life that are so much better than me that like why would I do it myself? Yeah.
No, I get that.
Guitar and bass, those are things that are like so feeling based on the album, and I can't offload those. They just matter to me too much, and I really care about the feel of stuff. And sometimes someone can play a chord to you and like it just doesn't feel right, so I'm very specific about those.
Well, and coming from a guitar background, for me personally, writing bridges was always like the biggest pain in the ass. Like I want to play my guitar solo, I want to play my chord progression, my hooks, and then just end it there. But you got to throw in that little change. And
what chord progression works here either? Like, it's always so frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, I always ended up taking my solo and just like saying, okay, well, I'm gonna up key that, and that's gonna be the bridge. Then we're just gonna transition it into the solo.
It's so interesting. You have to be focused on it in the beginning, otherwise it like will lock you in the studio. It's also so scary because you're counting down the hours. You're like, I hope I finish this song.
You're paying,
Yeah, so that's definitely something I've learned. This last time I went in the studio because we did the whole album and then we did another week and did a couple more songs, and I had just a couple ideas in my back pocket just in case, and they saved my ass like a couple of times.
So what do we have coming up for Slow Joy? What does 2025 look like?
Hopefully it's going to be a big year for the Joy. I'm very excited. So we have the album coming out. Singles will start releasing. I'm going to start doing some headliners starting in February, March, and April. So that'll be really great, just hitting a bunch of markets that I had hit on this last tour, but now as just the pure Joy. Things are like always a little bit topsy-turvy, a little bit weird for like Slow Joy. It's like this weird thing where like usually the rule is like you get a breaking artist and then you put them on like a bunch of tours like where they're opening, and then and then you do the album, like stuff like that. And it's always been so backwards for me. So I'm like going on tours like doing some headlining shows just because it's like, okay, well we couldn't get the opening tour, so let's just go see people. And like it's been an interesting move for this. I mean, we didn't do the album for 3 years or something like that. And it's like, everything's just been a little backwards. And I think that's just the way it's supposed to be for me. I've come to terms with it. Conventional wisdom doesn't really work in my life.
So everybody listening, Slow Joy's music is available for you right now on all platforms. Spotify listeners are through the roof, man, for how early on you are in your career. Like it's hitting. And
thank you.
I think this is going to be your year. I truly do. Like I said, it's such a breath of fresh air in that genre. Like we just need more people like you putting out that type of music. So
thank you so much. No, I'm really thankful for it. I hope I'm glad it connects to people, and I hope it continues to connect.
Hell yeah,
as we move forward,
So all of that being said, are we ready to play a game?
Game time.
Game time. I've been looking forward to it all day.
So, are you familiar with a game called Cards Against Humanity?
Yes. Yeah.
So I have this little game that we like to play here called Mixtape. Now, Mixtape is like Cards Against Humanity, except you give the title of a song for your answer. And it's a great little exercise to kind of get a little glimpse of how your brain works.
I love this game.
Is it actual like songs? Like we
Yeah, so it's song titles.
Okay.
Yeah. It is anything you want it to be.
Yeah.
Really.
I was gonna say, because last time we said song titles, we confused some people.
Yeah, like this. This is a great one right here.
Go ahead.
So, pumping your gas late at night in a deserted part of town, you enjoy your own little dance party to what song?
Man, this is gonna be really tough. Sandstorm.
Sandstorm's a great choice. You are a millennial. That for sure played at a homecoming. I guarantee.
It's been our like joke song for years. Like every time we get in the van, we just play that song.
Taylor, what would you play? You're alone in a bad part of town.
In a bad part?
Well, deserted part. I consider deserted bad.
So I'm trying to stay away from Sabrina Carpenter. I've been on a Sabrina Carpenter kick, as I'm sure every woman has been lately.
She's crazy. She like doesn't seem like an actual human,
like a real person. I agree.
She looks like she's not real.
Not real. It has to be a robot. There's no way. I don't know. Probably. Oh, why can't I remember? Pitbull. Probably something by Pitbull. Like Fireball or something.
Fireball?
Yeah.
A little Hotel Motel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide.
I was sent for Halloween, bald cap and all.
I would have to say Get Low.
Oh, that's such a good one. Oh, that's good.
All right. Play the hip hop song that best describes your first year of college.
Oh, it has to be hip hop.
That is what it says, hip hop.
Oh. I feel like my first year wasn't very poppy. I don't know.
Was it hip?
Not really. There was a lot of crying. Like, I don't know.
I immediately thought that Asher Roth song. The hell
I gotta go
that
through my
song
Spotify.
called?
I don't know if that's cheating or not, but
do you remember that song, Esteban?
Mm-mm.
Asher Roth. It was like freshman, do
Oh, that's
something.
funny.
Keg stand.
Oh,
what was that song? I Love College.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great song.
Truly, I don't know. Get Low. Can I steal yours?
I guess that's kind of lame.
It is lame. I can't, because nothing about my first year was hippity or poppy. You know.
Are you a hip hop guy at all?
Yeah. No, this one's gonna be tough because my first year of college was awful.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't have to be.
I can't pick a song that I like. No, I. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna. Tipsy is what I've decided.
Oh, Tipsy. That's a good one.
Yeah, maybe like Family Ties by Baby Keem or something along those lines. I feels like a song I would have listened to like get me through the treachery that was my first year of college.
It was rough. And then it just didn't get better, which is crazy.
Yeah, I carry on this, like I wear it like a badge of honor, but I got kicked out of the same college that Jerry Lewis did. So
really?
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. His was a cooler reason. He played because it was like a Christian college or whatever. So he played one of the songs in like a hippity hop or what do they call it? Rockabilly style on the piano, and they kicked him out. I just didn't go to class. So
that's fair. That'll do it.
Yeah, it kind of works out.
Yep, that'll do it.
I also didn't go to class, but they still let me go. They were just like, "You want to come back?" And I was like, "Not
We'll
really.
take your money.
Yeah.
That's fine." Yeah.
I was too scared to skip class.
Really?
I never.
Oh, you missed out, bud.
I physically even thinking about it now, being graduated makes me physically ill to think about skipping class.
Oh,
that's cool.
Yeah, I can't.
If they wanted you to show up to class, they shouldn't have it at 7:00 in the morning. That's crazy.
I mean, I was in a very science-based major, so I had to be there at 7:00 in the morning.
Respect.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't drink on Sunday and go to school.
I also
on
didn't
Monday at
party.
7.
I didn't go to one party while I was in college.
Also
yeah,
respect.
Well, so I'm like a goody two shoes when it comes to that type of thing. I really am. It's awful. But my boyfriend said that we went to the same college, and he said that he went to a party one time and they were doing cocaine. And he was like, "Oh, this is not for me." He was like, "This is not my type of party." So.
Yeah, I was like a rebel for where I was, so we would like sneak out to the local breweries. But it was like, I mean, so tame. Have a couple of beers and then come home. Like, it was pretty chill.
Yeah.
That was like the big bad for where I was.
See, I didn't sneak out and go to parties. I just had the party.
I was gonna say you just see that's
This
not
guy.
even fair though because I'm the youngest and a girl, so I didn't get to do anything fun
That's
ever.
fair.
I wish I would have had the normal college experience. I feel jealous when I hear
It wasn't
yeah,
good.
it could have been.
It wasn't. It was a lot. A lot
That's
of
fair.
tears, a lot of assignments that had to be done. It was
Exhausting. Yeah,
exhausting.
that's fair.
Yeah.
What song or band changed the way that you think about music? This is a great question.
Oh.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go.
Yeah, I
first.
got to go through my Spotify. I don't know.
Oasis.
Oh,
What a
Wonderwall.
band. Oh my gosh. If you listen to What's the Story, Morning Glory, and you aren't just
Mhm.
blissed out, you're crazy. That is,
how?
there's like 7 world-class singles back to back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How do you
Noel
feel
was
about the
on
new
something.
tour?
I'll believe it when it happens. Until they're on the downbeat on stage, I'll believe when
Yeah.
I think I heard there's like some betting odds for like whether or not they're
Oh,
gonna
really?
like finish out the tour, and I think it's you're an underdog for them to finish it. Like you'll get
Mhm.
paid out way more if they finish the tour versus like if everybody like is betting more on them not even finishing the world tour and stuff
I'm
like that.
just hoping that they do one date in the U.S.
I think they announced US dates.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're gonna actually.
Oh, they're actually
make
have it
show up.
happen.
I don't know if they make it past the UK tour.
See,
I
that's
really
why I didn't buy any tickets this time around because I was like, I don't want to get my heart broken. And like
Yeah.
if they're back like they say they are, they're gonna come back around. It's gonna be cheaper. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna do it. I'm
yeah.
gonna do it later.
Yeah.
They seem closer than ever. I've read a lot of articles that they seem, at least on face value, closer than ever.
Mhm.
But it feels like they're really pissed at the fans for some reason.
Probably because
Yeah.
they want him to go on tour.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's hard out there too, though. Like touring is like specifically like really hard. And if if the vibes go even a little bit bad, like it goes really bad.
Yeah.
So I would imagine age has probably gotten them like softer, but I don't know. There's some deep seated shit in there that
Yeah.
I fail to believe that they could survive it, but I would love for them to survive it.
Yeah.
I definitely couldn't tour.
It's tough.
What is your choice?
You guys have great ones, and I feel like there's a generational gap
That's
between
okay.
the three of us.
There is.
Yeah.
technically. Like
Yeah.
literally an actual generational
I know.
gap, but that's fine.
Mine is Khaled or Khalid. I think it's Khaled. I think
it's
that's how.
Khaled.
I also think it's Khaled.
Yeah, he's solid.
Yeah,
He kind of came and went, huh?
Yeah, he really
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Well, he recently put out some new music.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which is really great. But I have not found a song of his that I don't like, and it made me just rethink how I felt about music.
I feel like Khaled was your generation's Kendrick Lamar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Kendrick Lamar for me was like a revolutionary.
Yeah.
In that space.
I wouldn't say he's revolutionary. I think he's very well. No, I guess I understand what you're saying because Kendrick Lamar too is more like not that he's not insanely famous, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
Like, yeah.
I would say, as far as like a band that was influential for me in that way, it would have to be Pearl Jam. I'm a really big fan of Pearl Jam.
Really, I didn't think you were going to say Pearl Jam.
Who did you think?
I thought you were going to say AJR. Oh,
No,
Matchbox 20.
Oh,
Can I change my answer?
You can, yeah.
I think I'm going to go Matchbox 20.
We have 4 CDs in our van, and Matchbox 20 is one of them.
Really?
Because there's a CD player in the van. And yeah, that is one of the albums.
Do you know which one you have? Is it
no? I have no idea.
Let's go to your van right now, and you can we'll determine.
Yeah, just get in there and go find it.
We are. I don't know if I'm going to say it anyways. We're going to be interviewing Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20's son.
Congratulations! That's really cool.
I'm pretty excited.
I'm so excited.
Not as excited as I was to interview you, Esteban.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you. That's a lie, though. But
honestly,
so
it's not.
not.
But I really enjoy Matchbox 20.
Yeah.
I think that his son is a very talented guitar player.
But it's also like that 1 degree of separation that really, if you think about it, we're interviewing Rob Thomas.
Yeah, you got to get. I mean, once you get your foot in the door, it's
Yeah.
a matter of
Yes,
time.
exactly.
I respect that.
No, I genuinely like, dude. I know I've said it a lot already, but like, you're really a breath of fresh air. Like I listen to so much music
Mhm.
every single day.
Thank
So
you.
to find something different is like few and far between.
Well, that
Yeah.
means so much to me. Thank you. I'm sure Sue's sending the check in the mail for all the nice things that you've said.
Sue, pay up.
Like, be nice to him. He's so fragile. Make sure you. So they
Make
said
sure you
in
feel the ego.
email.
Here, I'll give you a little real full disclosure. I reached out about May Day Parade, and they're like, "No, but
we can give you the little one on the roster.
And honestly, I know more of your music than I do May Day parades at this point. So,
Yeah. He's been on a kick.
So this is a great one to finish things out.
Okay.
The first song you knew you'd get in trouble for listening to.
I have it.
Given your background, I think this is a great choice.
So many. Oh my gosh. Probably something from Eminem was huge. So
I was just about
probably
to say Eminem.
like Slim Shady. Like I don't know if it was the first one. I knew very early on I would get in trouble for listening to a lot of stuff. So that might have been like one of the first ones, or like some Green Day song.
That's
interesting. Okay.
I really wasn't expecting
Green
that
Day
to be your answer. Yeah.
I was expecting it to be Eminem.
Eminem, I could see Eminem or like a Run DMC or
literally anything.
Yeah.
If it wasn't like for
gospel,
like Christian bands, it was in trouble. So it's definitely it was a very rough upbringing.
Yeah.
Which is why the last answer, the Oasis thing, I just listened to Oasis for the first time in the last like 5 years. So
how do you feel about Wonderwall?
It was amazing. I mean, I heard Wonderwall growing up, like, I mean, in passing, it's in the zeitgeist now, but it was the first time I've ever like truly like they were my band. It was the same thing,
Supernova,
Nirvana, which is a little bit of a blessing because as an adult you can like listen to these with adult ears and like really get what you're listening to versus like just like a kid. So that was that kind of led into that. But yeah, literally anything on the radio at the time, I would like play it really quietly and like put my ear next to it.
So you can listen to it. Yeah.
100%. I feel like I know what yours is, Taylor. Is it Disturbed?
No, it's Eminem. Do you not remember me literally getting in trouble for listening to? Listen, Harley and I are 7 years apart. Okay.
Nice.
And my mom wouldn't let me listen to a lot of the music he listened to. Not that I could only listen to like Christian music, like it wasn't that, but for some reason she just had it out for Eminem. But when you look at the songs she listened to and she let me listen to, I'm like, I don't know.
Society had it out for Eminem back then, though.
Yeah,
he was the big bad back then, so.
And I remember we didn't share. Harley so graciously let me be on his iTunes. So I listened to it on my iPad. You had Eminem music downloaded. And not only did I get in trouble, but I think you may have also gotten in trouble.
The bad influence.
Bad influence. And now look at me.
Mine was Disturbed for sure.
Yeah.
I grew up similar situation to you. I wasn't allowed to listen to anything except for country music.
Crazy.
Yeah, right.
So selective.
And like, have you heard country music? Like,
I know. It's like that one's fine. We'll let that one slide.
Like 13, they started letting me listen to classic rock.
When did you start listening to Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy as country music?
Oh, that would have been, 10, 11.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when you look at country music.
But because it was country for some reason, it was okay.
It's a very interesting selective take.
Yeah. I found Disturbed when I was 15 and Down with the Sickness.
Classic.
Came on in the car and my mom was like, absolutely not.
Godsmack was another one.
Yeah. Anything.
But I love our mom so much. But only because their name was Godsmack could we not listen to it. Like, if you played the song for her, she was like, oh, I like this song. This is a good song. And then you'd be like, oh, it's Godsmack. She'd say, absolutely not.
That's funny. I got away with listening to Taking Back Sunday because of the name. So
really?
Like, look, it's Christian. Like, knowing full well what was happening.
Now, all
Yeah.
of that being said, there
Dark.
are a couple of Christian bands that
That are solid.
yeah, like Casting Crowns I always
Yeah.
liked.
Oh,
That one that we went and saw.
they went and saw Newsboys.
the Newsboys.
I
yeah.
love
What a
Newsboys.
what a weird demographic. Like if you think I've been thinking about this a lot. It's crazy to think that like it has its own market, like entirely its own market. It has its own entirely its own bands. And like sell out like stadiums and stuff because
Yeah.
which is like crazy. You get the God bump, so you can sell way
Yeah.
more tickets. But yeah, it's just such a weird like world I grew up in, that like these entirely different bands that anybody knew that were playing like massive festivals with like
Yeah.
tens of
Yeah.
thousands of people
Mhm.
who were just showing up because it was like a Christian festival and stuff. I've been very fascinated about like that industry
Yeah.
as a whole, and it kind of just fizzled out like recently. It's not like
Mhm.
it's not
That
the same that it
industry,
used
I
to be.
mean, we're talking like some of the biggest grossing bands
Yeah.
ever.
Crazy.
Insane.
I mean, and it's set the like there are so many bands who are coming out of it now that are, I mean, even in the like the hardcore like world that were just, you think about your Under Oaths and your bands like that, like so many
Yeah.
bands that were influenced by bands who were in there.
Mhm.
I've been, it's really interesting. I want to hear a documentary about it eventually.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and then you have bands that would like kind of walk that line, like
Mhm.
Creed or like
Yeah.
POD, you know.
Hell yeah. POD is so good.
Stained, yeah,
Mhm.
they would like walk this line of like, we're sort of Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sonny from POD is really, really into it still.
Oh yeah.
I
yeah.
watched them recently. I've done 2 festivals with them and they played on the wrong day every time, and it hurts my heart.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I love that band. But I watched them like a few years ago, and I went to go, they had just played Boom, and he like gets in the mic right after and screams with everything in him to the crowd, and he's just like, "The king is coming." And I was like, damn, okay.
Yeah.
Kind of weird after Boom, but like let's go.
Strange choice, but all right.
It was such
Youth
an
of the
interesting
Nation
vibe.
is such a fucking good song.
It's amazing live too.
So
I
good.
love that band so much. One of my songs, Pressure, which is like a song I like, we still have to play because people like it, but I would like to get rid of it eventually. It was 100% me just trying to do them. Like I was just like trying to do
Really?
Southtown. Southtown is one of those songs that
You're so right. That's crazy.
yeah, everyone's like, it's shoegaze influence. I was like, nah, that's POD.
Oh man. All right. Well, it is that time, man.
That
I
is.
really, really appreciate you coming on the show. And please, you have an open invitation. You are welcome back at any point in time. Is there anything you want to promote before we hop off?
Yeah. When will this go out?
This will go out. That's a great question.
Let me pull up a calendar. That's not a calendar.
This
We're on the
will go out the 30th? No, the
Cool.
6th. The 6th of January.
Oh, perfect. Buy tickets to my headliner shows that have all been announced by this time.
Hell yeah.
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 I'll be going to every major market, I think. So come on out.
Coming to Virginia?
Awesome.
I think so. Yeah. I think we're definitely doing some East Coast stuff. So it'll be my
Okay.
first headlining
Exciting.
East Coast stuff. So please,
Yeah.
if you're in the East Coast specifically too, because the West Coast is already super nice to me, but hey, the East Coast, catch up to the West Coast. So
If you're in Virginia, we will be there and I'll bring a big old crowd for you.
I would love to see it. That's such an honor.
Big
Hell
old
yeah,
crowd
man.
of 3 people.
Yeah, well, I know I have friends. Not many, but I have a couple.
I'll give you 5.
I love it. Five is more than enough. You said January 30th, right?
January
January
6th.
6th.
Cool. That's really close to my birthday too. So I'd like to promote my birthday.
Absolutely.
I'm just
Happy
kidding.
early.
Happy early birthday or
Thank
happy
you.
birthday.
Yeah,
If
it's
it
very
is the 6th?
exciting. It's the 16th. Yeah.
Oh,
There you
okay. There we go.
There we go. 10 days till my birthday. Buy a ticket.
There you go. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. You've been an absolute blast. And like I said, truly a gift to music right now. Fantastic songwriter. Check out Slow Joy.
Mhm.
Tour dates are available now. Go to their website. And yeah, we'll see you out there.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. See you later, man.
Bye, y'all.
Peace.
All right. It is that time,
All
buddy.
right, everybody. Guys, I don't know how to use a microphone. I like keep. Anyways, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. If you liked today's video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell notification so you can get notified every time we post a new video.
And as always, we have our Instagram and Patreon. Tasty Tunes is up now.
Exciting.
And yeah, go enjoy all of our stuff. It has been real, everybody, and peace.